So we always have a training every month for Ultra. And last month I didn't have it because I was on vacation. So I'm glad that I was able to make it this time. And it's super valuable, and it's going to be delivered by Mohabbat. She's in our team. She is a business development consultant. She's a co-founder of 2 startups. She's amazing. And she's an AI expert. So I didn't want to do this training myself because honestly, I also learned it from her. So why not learning it from the master? So I'm going to mute myself and let Mohabbat take over. Thanks, Mohabbat.
Thank you, Rasha. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining live. So I'm Mohabbat here. You can call me Mo. I founded 2 startups, one in the field of logistics in Canada and one in the field of telemedical consultation in Iran. And I'm an AI enthusiast, and I love everything that has to do with technology and using AI. And since this AI revolution has begun, I have tried my very best to stay ahead of the curve, learn everything that there is, sift through these huge sea of information and pick the gems and try to distribute the knowledge to everyone that I see. And I'm so happy to have you guys here. And I just want to jump into the conversation because I want you guys to basically see the prompts that we want to, the structure of the prompts that we want to tell you about. And there will be a Q&A at the end of the session. We can do a little bit of training with each other. And I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a thumbs up if you see it. Do you guys see my screen? Okay, great. So, hi everyone. It's content creation with AI. We're gonna learn the perfect 7 steps to prompting and avoid making common mistakes. So, I want to open up with a quote about AI. AI does not replace humans. It elevates them to focus on intricacies of creativity and empathy that machines cannot replicate. And who do you think that quote is from? You guessed it, chatgpt, my very cool pal. So in terms of how AI can revolutionize content creation, it's this huge spheres of basically industries that AI is revolutionizing at this moment, from written content to visual content to audio content. And there are huge areas of overlapping. In written content, we have articles, blogs, even poetries, books, stories, research papers, ad copies, you name it. In visual content, we have video editing, object recognition inside the videos, summarizing the videos, the style transferring from one video to another. In audio, we have podcast, music, synthesizing voice, and there are even overlaps between written content and visual content and audio content. Like between written content and visual content, we get to have auto-generated captions for video. So that's like the written content on top of the video. Between written content and audio content, we have transcriptions and automated subtitling for podcasts. So again, something in between these areas. And between visual content and audio content, we have I think you guys, if you've seen TikTok, there is this feature that automatically synchronizes musics with videos or automatically synchronizes pictures with musics. So that's in between these areas. But for today, we are just going to focus on written content and how we can use these AI generators to generate written content. So I just want to start at the very beginning and talk about what is an AI content generator. You guys probably have heard about ChatGPT by now, but let's dive a little deeper and talk about what ChatGPT really is. So ChatGPT, as most of you know, is an AI-powered chatbot. It's developed by OpenAI. It's a big corporation. It's got the evaluation of $86 billion yesterday. I was reading about it today. So it's a huge industry. And GPT at the end of ChatGPT is coming from generative pre-trained transformers. So it's a language model that has been trained on a lot of conversation, on a lot of text. And it operates based on machine learning. I just want to talk about quickly what ChatGPT and these AI content generators are and what they're not. So they are tailored for conversational interactions. So just you and I were conversing, ChatGPT or any other AI content generator that is text-based is tailored for conversational interactions. It has been trained by a lot of human-like conversation text, and it understands human-like conversation and responds in real time. It can pull up general knowledge, not specific knowledge, general knowledge. And for ChatGPT 4, the cutoff date is around 2022. And you can adjust the verbosity and the style and tone of the conversation you're having with it, and the quality and accuracy of the responses you're getting from ChatGPT is based on the query you're asking it. So garbage in, garbage out. It's super important that we give ChatGPT good structure, good information when we are looking for a good piece of content in return. And one last thing that I want to be very clear on is that ChatGPT or Claude, Anthropic, or all of these content generators that are AI based, they do not have a complete comprehension of what we tell them. They operate based on pattern data. So they look for patterns in data, look for patterns in our text, and try to predict the next common word or the next logical word for that. So it's not that they 100% understand what we're telling them, it's that they're guessing this is going to be the right answer for the questions that we've asked them. So going back to ChatGPT, I just want to touch on that ChatGPT isn't the only kid on the block, but it's the most well-known, it's well-trained, and it has a free version available. Everyone can use it. But there are other stuff that I use. So I usually use Perplexity when I want more actual data, and I also use Claude 2, the Anthropic Claude as well. But for the purposes of this training, we are gonna use ChatGPT. So I'm gonna dive into content creation prompt formula. These are the 7 steps that will help us get the piece of content that actually serves us, that we can use in our social media, in our blog, in our ad copies, whatever we want. So the 7 steps are task, context, example, role, format, persona, and tone. We're going to dive into each of these one by one and talk about them. Just so you know, from the top of the list to the end of the list, the importance of each of these structure parts are just like decreases one by one. So task is the most important one, and tone is kind of nice to have. It's the secret sauce that will help you and your content be more well received by the audience. So number 1, task. When you want to prompt in ChatGPT, you should start with a task, and task is a verb, an action verb that you want to ask ChatGPT. You wanted to write something, you wanted to generate something, you wanted to analyze something, and you can say, write 5 tweets for me, write a blog post for me. So it's a verb that we ask ChatGPT as something to do. And it's very important. It's the single most mandatory piece of structure that you have to have when you want to prompt in ChatGPT. Context is super important, but without task, you cannot expect ChatGPT to give back anything to you, because you don't basically underline what you want from it. So think of an action verb that you want and be specific about it. If you want a blog post, write a blog post for me, or write 5 blog posts for me, write 5 tweets for me, write a LinkedIn post for me. Because we are talking about text-based content creation, I'm gonna stick to the writing examples, but you can also ask ChatGPT to analyze, to generate, to summarize, or any other action verb that you can and is possible from a text-based model. Part 2 is context. It's the second element and perhaps the most important one. And it's a little bit challenging. So you want to give enough context to ChatGPT that when you tell it to write you 5 tweets, it knows what the tweets should be about. So it doesn't operate in the dark. For you to be able to know what the context is, it's usually good to answer some background questions. So why do you want this? Why do you want the tweets? What these tweets are going to be for? What these blog posts are going to be for? That's usually helpful. And who are you? So like you're a business coach, you're a life coach, you're a business development consultant, you're a teacher, you're a fitness coach. Anything background like that would help you. So you can say, I'm a business development consultant, or you can be more specific. I'm a business development consultant and I want to help my audience learn about, for example, lead generation, for example, AI. I'm a life coach. And I just want to demonstrate to you guys that the difference between the context and the task. So I'm going to take you guys to ChatGPT for a second. So I'm going to stop sharing and take you to ChatGPT to show you how ChatGPT not operate without task, but can operate with just content. So I'm gonna share my screen. Share. Give me a thumbs up if you see my screen. Okay, great. So task writes like write me 5 tweets or write a blog post for me. Write me 5 tweets. We're going to ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT, without any problems, executing the task and is writing 5 tweets for us. But let's take a look here. Let's give it some context alone. So I'm a business developer. So I'm a business development consultant. I'm going to just say I'm a business developer. Still, it says that's great, but doesn't actually generate anything for me because it doesn't know, because I didn't ask it to give me a piece of content. That just demonstrates what's the context for. So let's dive into another example. Let's say I'm 70 kilograms and I want to have a diet. I want ChatGPT to give me a diet and using like my body weight. So what I do is I can simply ask ChatGPT, give me a diet. It says, yeah, here's a diet. I can even ask more specific questions and it would start giving me more specific answers. So I can even ask it, give me a protein-based diet, give me a keto-based diet. But if I just tell ChatGPT, I'm 70 kilograms, let's see what ChatGPT says. No, it's going to be like, yeah, that's a piece of information. Thank you. Let me know if you need any assistance with it. So that's why we say context is super important, but without task, without the action verb, ChatGPT is not able to give us anything, any piece of information. It's useless without the first part of the formula, without task. So I'm gonna stop sharing, take you guys back to the presentation. So give me a thumbs up if you see my screen. You see my screen, great. So task, the most important one. Without it, ChatGPT will not give you an answer. It's something simple. using action verbs, write me 5 tweets, write a blog post for me, whatever you desire. Context, super important. Without context, ChatGPT will write you any 5 tweets. But if you say, I'm a business consultant, I'm a business developer consultant, I'm a business coach, I'm a life coach, and I want 5 tweets, now that's cooking for ChatGPT. Now it understands some context. Now you give it some background on who you are, what do you want to do. So ChatGPT is not operating in the dark. It's a little bit better for it. And the third part is examples. So I'm gonna just tell you this, jump a little bit. So in terms of the structure, task is an absolute must-have. You absolutely must have it. Context and examples are very important. Role and format are good to have. And then we're going to talk about the secret sauce, that is persona and tone. So taking you back to examples, studies on these AI generative models have shown that when you give it examples, it has a better time generating the piece of content that you're looking for. So you can tell something like, I'm a business coach, write inspiring tweets for my audience. Something like, the magic that you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Hashtag hustle harder with an emoji. That tells ChatGPT that you want a code that is inspiring. You've given it an example. You are expecting a hashtag with emojis. If you don't provide like a hashtag, then ChatGPT will not provide a hashtag for you. If you avoid using emojis, ChatGPT will avoid use emojis. If you could specifically say avoid using emojis, ChatGPT will avoid using emojis. So it's super important to give ChatGPT examples. It will help you guys. You and ChatGPT. I know I talk about ChatGPT as my pal, and that's sad, but that's because like it is my pal and I talk to it like a lot, like much more than my husband. So just ChatGPT has a better time understanding you and knows what you expect. Sliding to roles. So ChatGPT would like to know like any ChatGPT you're using, any kind of like AI generator yet you're using. That could be ChatGPT, Bard, Claude, Anthropic, Perplexity, whatever. It likes kind of a role play, so you can pretend that you're talking to an expert, and if you want to write a piece of content and you want that piece of content to be very good, you could ask ChatGPT to role play as an expert in content creation. You could ask ChatGPT to role play as an SEO specialist. You could ask ChatGPT to role play as a content creator that write tweets that go viral. Again, the limit is your imagination. You can say, act as a content creator who writes funny tweets. Act as a content creator or a speech writer that writes speeches for Grammy acceptance awards. You name it, ChatGPT will try to do it to the best of its ability. So role playing is super big with ChatGPT. It again, just thinking about what ChatGPT has access to. ChatGPT has been trained on billions of lines of conversations and has access to this vasty of knowledge. And when you ask it to role play, it kind of narrows down the lines that ChatGPT would look into and would check in. So for that purpose, when you ask ChatGPT to write tweets and doesn't specify a role and don't ask it to role play, ChatGPT has access to Shakespeare, has access to Dan Brown, has access to J.K. Rowling, has access to Alex Hormozy, and kind of meshes all of that together and gives you something. But when you ask it to act as a content creator that writes tweets that go viral, then ChatGPT thinks a little bit and thinks, maybe I should stick to Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, Alex Hormozy, and then I'm gonna like after learning those give you a tweet about that. So that's the importance of role play. ChatGPT really, really loves it. No matter the task, no matter the action verb that you're trying to do, there's a role that ChatGPT can take. If you want ChatGPT to summarize something, you can define a role within that. If you have a huge document, you want that to be summarized, you can ask ChatGPT to act as a personal assistant who is excellent at summarizing huge documents. If you want something analyzed, you can ask ChatGPT to role play, to act as someone who is great in analyzing. If you want the help of ChatGPT in researching something, you can ask it to act as a research assistant. So based on the action verb that you define in task, you can ask ChatGPT to role play. And then format. So this part is all about setting up the goals and expectation you have of ChatGPT. You can be specific about the kind of output you want to have. So if you want a diet, you can say, hey, give me the diet in the table format. I would like the tweets that you gave me in a table format. So it gives you a table format. You can say, I want tweets that are less than 200 characters long. It will give you tweets that are less than 200 characters long. I want a LinkedIn post that is 500 words long. It's going to give you a LinkedIn post about that. And again, combining all of these together. So at this point, you are creating a task, an action verb, giving it a piece of background. So for example, I'm going to just off the top of my head say write. So that's my action verb. Write a tweet for me. I'm a business development consultant. My example is again like if you want to go I'm blanking out on that. So my example is that my example for a tweet is that the magic that you're looking for isn't the work that you're avoiding. So that's my example. I use emojis, I use hashtags, and on the role play, I asked it to role play, act as someone who has a lot of experience in writing content for Twitter, now X, and that writes tweets that all go viral. Now about the format, I can be more specific. I can say, I want tweets that are 200 characters long. I want tweets that have 2 hashtags. I can be super specific about that. So the format really focuses on the type of goal that you're setting. If you want a table, you can say a table. If you want a long form text, you can say a long form text. If you're looking for a LinkedIn article, you can say I'm looking for a LinkedIn article. Whatever you set up in format will show up at the end result. ChatGPT is actually really fine-tuned into understanding what the format is. And then persona. So that's like you guys as people who are probably coaches, have businesses on their own, all of you all have ideal clients, people who you serve to. These people, your target audience, they have you have different niches. Some of you serve to middle-aged people, some of you serve to Gen Z, some of you serve to millennials, some of you have female clients, some of you have male clients. And for ChatGPT, it's actually really nice to know more about the persona that you're serving, about your ideal clients. And example of this is that you just simply tell ChatGPT, my audience are children. They are between 6 years old to 12 years old. My audience are middle-aged European. My audience cares about the environment. My audience hates smokers. My clients make 250K a year and more. So these small details will give ChatGPT enough information to fine-tune the message, to fine-tune the piece of content that it's writing that is more accustomed to the people that you're trying to reach. So I know you guys all know about your ideal clients. That's your cue to tell ChatGPT about your ideal client. It doesn't need to be one sentence. You can write multiple sentences. My audience, for example, I'm gonna base an example on me. So my audience are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and people who have their own businesses. They are CEOs or CMOs or CEOs that are trying to maximize their potential. They are trying to use all of their resources. They are very driven. They want to make more money. So I'm just typing all of this. They are trying to make more than $1 million a year. So I just write that down. They are mainly, so I'm just going to talk about their background. They are mainly college graduates. They are mainly located in North America. They're probably in the US or Canada. And again, I'm just gonna like talk about all of this with ChatGPT, give it a little bit of information. They come from different backgrounds. They care about the environment. They care about sustainability, and I embed all of that to my persona. Once ChatGPT has enough information about my persona, it knows the references that those personas know. So if I'm serving to clients who are billionaires, and I tell ChatGPT that, ChatGPT will use examples, will use metaphors that have yachts and private jets in that. But if I don't do that, ChatGPT will stick to cars. If I say to ChatGPT, my clients care about smart or sustainable transportation, ChatGPT will use examples of electric cars. If I don't, ChatGPT would not do that. So all of these, it's again, the persona is the secret sauce. It's what makes your content different from all of other people who are using ChatGPT. It's what makes your content stand out. Your unique knowledge of your target audience. That is where you can shine. I know all of you have a knowledge of who your target audience are, who is your ideal client. That's your time to tell ChatGPT and make sure that ChatGPT 100% understands it. And the seventh step is the tone. It's the last element. It's about defining the tone, and it speaks to your ideal client again. The difference between persona and the tone is that tone is usually more about what type of examples and what type of metaphors ChatGPT uses. As for tone, you can go very specific about, use a formal tone of voice or use a casual tone of voice. Be funny, sound optimistic, avoid using Gen Z slang, use Gen Z slang, use like whatever type of content that you want to create, whatever the tone of your ideal client. That's when you can be super specific about it and ask ChatGPT to include that or even avoid that. So again, think about your ideal client. Maybe your ideal client is Gen Z and they hate formal type of communication. So you tell that. So in the persona, you already told ChatGPT that your audience are Gen Z. They care about fashion. They care about TikTok. They spend most of their time on TikTok. That's their primary social media. And now on the tone, you can be more specific. Use Gen Z slang. Avoid talking formal. Again, you can be as specific as you want or leave these blank. Again, circling back to the top of our conversation, the only thing that you have to absolutely have is task. Without task, there is nothing for ChatGPT to do for you. If you just go in ChatGPT and type in avoid Gen Z slang, ChatGPT would say, okay, sure, but in what? If you go to ChatGPT and talk about your ideal clients, my clients are Gen Z. ChatGPT said, oh, that looks like a piece of information. What do you want me to do with that? If you just go to format and don't have a task and say, hey, provide me details in a table format, ChatGPT says, okay, but what's in a table format? As in role, if you start going to ChatGPT and say, hey, act as a as an expert in like diet consultation. And don't ask ChatGPT to give you a diet. Don't have an action verb. ChatGPT doesn't have anything to do for you. And if you just go to an example, type example, and then type, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go long, go together. ChatGPT doesn't really know what to do with that. If you just use context, I'm 70 kilograms, I'm a business developer, I live alone, I live with my mom, I live with my spouse, ChatGPT really doesn't know what to do with that. It's just by linking these pieces together that ChatGPT gets a comprehensive understanding of what you do and what you want, and is able to perform its task. Again, I want to get you back to the one of our earliest slides right here. Quality and accuracy of the response can vary based on the user's query. So the more specific you are, the more like basically, again, ChatGPT is super cool with conversations. It's built to have conversations with, give more conversations to. So the quality and accuracy depends on the amount of data you give it and relevant data. So if you give on persona, if you give ChatGPT data that is important to ChatGPT, ChatGPT would use it. So if you, for example, if you serve to people on like 5 continents, and it's not important for your business, but you give that information to ChatGPT, ChatGPT might start giving you content in different languages because it wants to use content in different languages because you said you are you have clients on different continents. But if you say, hey, I have clients on different continents, but all of them speak English, all of them are Gen Z, then it would stick to Gen Z. So be mindful of oversharing. There is such a thing as TMI, too much information. Be specific about the things that you want to say to ChatGPT, and make sure that you give it relevant data. Again, garbage in, garbage out. I want to take you guys back, do a little bit of right here. So on task, that's a must-have. We talked about it. Context and examples are super important. There's like a very good chance that ChatGPT will write you a blog, write you a tweet, but it's not on point unless you give it context and example. Roles and formats are good to have, and it's super good to have them. And persona and tone is the secret sauce. It's what makes you, what makes your ad copy, what makes your content stand out, what makes you unique. So task, absolute must have. Context and example, very important. It is my personal recommendation. At least use task and context. If you are do not have an example, if you are just using ChatGPT for ideation, just go task and context. But having an example more than 90% of the time will yield you better results. Role and formats are very good to have. It allows ChatGPT to tap into its potential. And on persona and tone, it allows you as business owners, as people who have businesses, as people who are intricate parts of different businesses, to have a time to talk about your clients, talk about your target customers, and share your knowledge of your target customers with ChatGPT. And with that, I want to, again, jump back in and take next parts of the session inside ChatGPT. But I want to talk about a quote that AI doesn't possess a soul, but it's a testament to the endless boundaries of human imagination. And who do you think that quote is from? Any guesses in the chat, please? The master, yes, ChatGPT. Exactly, ChatGPT. And now, if you guys have any question, I see some questions in the chat, and we'll answer that. And if you guys want, one of you can volunteer, and we can write a piece of content based on what you want on ChatGPT and do it live. right here on the call. So let's see the chats. Okay. So if you are setting the context, I am a health coach and I want to write an IG post, should you also specify that it should write the post and act like a health coach? Does it make a difference? So yes, if you want the question is basically twofold. If you have an idea of what you want to tell in the post and you want the ChatGPT to do the write-up, you can say, I'm a health coach, help me reach these audience. So my audience is a Gen Z, my audience is a millennial, my audience is blah, 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 and I want to do that. But if you want ChatGPT to start from the beginning, yes, it makes sense for ChatGPT to act as a health coach as well. And would you recommend to put all this information at once, or you can add it step by step or train it and then ask more questions? I'm asking because I sometimes type and enter by mistake. That's cool. I'm gonna show you guys something by sharing my screen. I'm gonna stop share, go back to ChatGPT and share my screen. So right here, you add like a new chat. You can make sure that all of the information is in one single piece of prompt. That's easier for ChatGPT. If you're using ChatGPT 4 allows you to only send 50 messages every 3 hours. That's just smart to compact all of these inside of one single prompt. But if you're using ChatGPT 3.5 and you don't have a maximum amount of text that you can get, you can break that up. But if you type something in ChatGPT and that turns out to be wrong, so I'm gonna write up, hey, I usually say hi to ChatGPT because like I wanna keep the conversation like nice. And I'm gonna say, hey, I wanna give it like a task. Write a piece of blog post for LinkedIn for me. Who am I? I'm a business developer. And let's just like hang it here. I'm sending this, waiting for ChatGPT to write me something. Now I suddenly realized, oh my God, I'm not a business developer. I am in fact a health coach. So see the edit button right here. I just click on it and say, I'm a health coach. And save and submit. So if you make mistakes, ChatGPT is gracious enough to give us an edit button, and then we can start using that edit button. The edit button is right here to give us an option. And then your previous answer is not lost. Here you can see 2 from 2. Just click right here. You have access to the answer that it says, I'm a business developer. You slide here, you have access to a health coach. Oops, I did it again. No, I'm Batman. Save and submit. ChatGPT really tries to do that. So again, I have access to all of the text that ChatGPT provided me when I was Batman, when I was a health coach, and when I was a business developer. That happens in every piece of prompting that you do. So let's go back to the question. And again, let me just talk about this a little bit here. So, you know, if you open up a new chat and start talking to it, and I'm just going to say, write me a tweet. It's going to write me a tweet, and it's going to be like about anything that ChatGPT wants. But since ChatGPT is a conversational thing, if I don't open up a new chat and say to ChatGPT as I'm a business developer and say it right here in this chat, I'm a business developer. It modified the tweet to be more relevant to me since I'm a business developer. And again, if I'm not a business developer, I come here I say I'm a health coach. So I can do it as pieces of the conversation, or I can do it all at once. I recommend if you're using GPT-4, it's best to have all of them inside one prompt because you have maximum 50 messages that you can send in 3 hours. So it's just smart to use all of your credits. So let's go to the next question. Okay. So, okay. Chat saves all of this information for you in a file so you don't have to repeat the target audience and details and be able to direct messages to several separate target audiences. It does. So if you start a chat and talk about your target audience and keep using this specific chat, ChatGPT will use the information that you provided it. But if you click on new chat, ChatGPT will disregard everything that you told it previously. If you don't want to do that, you have access to your previous data right here. Just open up a conversation and on that conversation, ask more questions. So I'm gonna go right here on a balanced diet guideline. When in the session, I asked ChatGPT to give me a diet and ask more questions about the diet. If I don't want to do that, I go on wellness coaching and ask ChatGPT to give me more content on business coaching. So based on the chat that you've opened up, ChatGPT will have access to the chat that you have previously opened up. Next question. Okay. ChatGPT, I struggle with ChatGPT inserting a lot of fluffy and filling words. I tried to say make it more succinct, but then it was too dry. Do you have a suggestion on how to train it to sound more like on your voice? Add past content you wrote and say to follow that writing pattern? Exactly. So on example number 3, if you don't provide ChatGPT with examples, ChatGPT, based on the patterns that it has access to on millions of lines of data that it has access to, will say, okay, like after amazing comes this word, and after interesting comes that word, and the best adjective for this, like for trip, is adventurous, and the best adjective for like marriage is loving. But if you have a specific style in writing, it's best to provide it with some examples. Again, you don't need to have just one example. You can say these are examples in one chat and say, please use these examples for as your guiding as your guidelines for writing. So it would help a lot. And if ChatGPT, if you don't have like any parts, any types of past content, and you want ChatGPT to again sound better, it's best to use the secret sauce. So use tone and use persona. So if the tone doesn't do it alone, use persona. So your persona is Gen Z. Your persona are health-aware people. Your persona are moms. Your persona are women above the age of 35. Giving that piece of information to ChatGPT will allow ChatGPT to have a better idea on what to write for your target audience. Okay, great. No, don't worry about the camera. I hope you feel better soon. Oh yeah, Irina, the edit button. So that's like usually that was added in around 4 or 5 months ago. So it wasn't there at the very beginning of ChatGPT. So a lot of people that use ChatGPT missed it, and it's right there. And Irina, at sure. So I just want to do a little bit wrap up before we ask you guys to open up your mic, and again take you guys back to the presentation and talk about your AI journey. Give me a thumbs up if you see this screen. Great. So you guys, all of you, including me, we are on an AI journey. AI is a new thing. We're all in this together. The first step that all of you guys have taken is awareness. You understand the basics of AI and the potentials of how to use it. The next step is skill acquisition, acquiring enough skills and making sure that you have the means to use the potential of AI. So this session hopefully has been helpful in that. And now you possess the 7 steps, the perfect structure to write a piece of content for you and for your business. After that comes the strategy. So how to use AI. Where in your business AI can give you more value? What type of AI integration would help you and your business the most? So that's on strategy. And you can also, by the way, ask to strategize with ChatGPT, my pal, as well. So you can ask it, help me write up a content strategy just on content. But on a strategy, again, AI is a big thing, and after that comes the implementation. So a lot of people talk big talk about AI, like use it in that, use it on that, but actually implementing that in the business sometimes takes a little bit of hassle. So again, the next step, the 4th step, is implementing the AI on the business. And AI, guys, is a baby. It's a baby. It's like a little bit, like a little kitty. And it would make mistakes, so you need to evaluate. It's not like this mature person that you can delegate tasks to. On the tasks that it learns, it would do so good. It would still do so great, just like a cat. My cat knows how to use his litter box. My cat knows how to like have great naps. My cat knows how to like do his scratchy things. But if I ask it to do stuff that I hadn't taught him yet, so it's not gonna do great. I taught my cat how to play fetch. He plays it nicely, but like on other stuff, not so good. Again, it's super important to do evaluation on AI because AI is a baby. You need to be patient with that. We are still at the very beginning of this technology. And then that's the full integration. That's what you hear in most of the calls, YouTube videos, podcasts, having your business on autopilot, having everything like come from the AI, post from the AI. The AI does everything for you. The AI posts on Twitter for you. The AI like makes the videos for you. That's possible, but that's the full integration. And then continual improvements. Again, since AI is a baby, there would be like extra stuff that would come. 6 months ago, ChatGPT 4 wasn't here that you could like use it very well. It has grown since, and you can improve your business to utilize those new things. Imagine ChatGPT or AI as like a superhuman baby, and as it evolves, like at first it will look like a normal baby. Now it has wings. As it goes forward, maybe it has 7 wings. We never know. So you need to have these continual improvement sessions to make sure you are utilizing every wing of your ChatGPT. And again, future monitoring. So ChatGPT is trained on patterns. And if you guys are into like trading, into buying stuff, predicting markets, ChatGPT is starting to do that. It's not reliable now, but it is a good tool to have in your archery, in your toolbox to talk to. So if you're a health coach, you can ask ChatGPT, strategize with that to, hey, like in 2015, what would the health industry look like? And then start strategizing with that. In 2015, what diseases will no longer be like there would be like 100% treatable, 100% curable, and for that you would able to pivot your business into the right direction using ChatGPT. So using ChatGPT, you can monitor trends. It's not that ChatGPT has access to this data right now. It's that you need to do a little bit of like structuring, give it enough information, feeding it like enough articles on the subject, so it can see the pattern and start monitoring the future for you. So here at Roche, we do help businesses be aware of AI, learn it as best as we can, and help using ChatGPT and AI with strategizing. We also help with implementation. And this has been our first session in AI for you guys at Ultra. And hopefully this has been helpful for you. Yes. And we can help you again use AI, acquire skills, and start little by little implement AI into your business. So if that's your thing, you can definitely reach out to us. There will be more sessions. You can also have consultation calls, and we'll provide the information for you later on. And basically that's the presentation. If you want to, you can unmute yourself and ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohabbat. It was amazing. I love that. I learned new things again from you.
Yay.
Yeah, especially the last
Yay.
two, the tone and the persona. That's really the secret sauce. That's the difference between, because everybody is using ChatGPT now. So if like the most important thing is actually to master how to, you know, ask like or write the prompts to get the best, that it doesn't show to everybody that, oh, this was made by ChatGPT. It's too obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly, Rosha. So, Irina, I see you have your hand up. Sure. Let me ask you to unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much, Mo, for this presentation. It was like so useful, and I learned so much. And Rosha, thank you so much for organizing this for us monthly. The question is, so sometimes when I'm trying to write for my social media account, I know what I want to say, but I'm very verbose. My English is not my first language, so I'm struggling with that as well. Yeah. So I usually write down what I want to say in notes, and then I go back to ChatGPT asking to help me to say, like, write an Instagram post, 2,200 characters, and then like use this content information. And often, if that piece of information is bigger than 2,200, the outcome, it's bigger than 2,200. So I have to, like, I've tried multiple ways to tell it, to make it shorter, to make it more succinct, but I'm still having a hard time making it to fit into the limit of the Instagram, for example.
That's a very good question to ask, Rina. So ChatGPT, after like 500 words, kind of like loses its grip on counting the words. And it's like, say, if it's like okay to have 500 words, I'm gonna like, it's gonna be okay to have more, I'm gonna include more. And when you want to have like a longer text, it's actually a good idea to break that down. So your text usually like has a header or like an introduction. You can ask ChatGPT to write the introduction part for longer form content, then write the body of the language, or just like talk about the titles or like subjects of those little parts, and ask it to write like 100 words for that part, and then go after that, and then have a conclusion. So that's better for longer form contents. But for something that is like a caption of Instagram, it's very good to tell ChatGPT like from the get-go, I'm asking you to write a caption for Instagram. And Instagram has this rule that like 2,000 characters is the maximum. So tell it right there from the start, and make sure that it's right there when you are talking about the context. So ChatGPT knows that needs to write captions, and then knows that it needs to write it for Instagram, and then give all the like other information about your business. The orders that ChatGPT reads what you tell them in a prompt is from the top to the bottom, unless you say like in text, this is more important, or like make sure you get this right. Unless you tell it that, it would go from the top of the prompt to the bottom of the prompt. So the things that you type higher have more priority than the things that you type lower in your prompt. So try to get that at the top of your prompt rather than the lower parts of your prompt. That's tip number one. And again, ChatGPT is a baby. It's not a guarantee that it would like get it 100% wrong in terms right, but in terms of wording, it's always a good idea to talk about your target audience. So talk about your target audience, say, hey, this is my ideal clients, these are my target audience. The tone, the wordings would tune to speak to those target audiences. And again, I 100% get English is not my first language either, and Farsi is actually my main language. And I sometimes, when my brain is not braining in English, I type stuff in Farsi in ChatGPT and ask it to speak back to me in English, and it does it. So there you go. You can speak to your mother tongue and ask in English. ChatGPT is there for you. May I ask, what's your main language, Irina?
Romanian.
Romanian. So again, just like Farsi, the pool of content that ChatGPT has been trained on, both on Farsi and Romanian, is not that big. It's big enough. It's not that big. Have you tried talking to ChatGPT in Romanian? Does it give you cohesive answers?
No, I always write in English because my audience is in English, talks English. But like a follow-up questions for you is like, if you're adding tags, so for example, you had this seven rules. If you're adding tags when you are providing information, is like, this is context, this is an example, this is role. So like using tags, do you think it will help it understand better? And do you think if like the instructions you give to ChatGPT, if they're more verbose or more accurate, would it do it better than very succinct?
So ChatGPT again is trained on conversational English rather than on all other stuff. A huge part of ChatGPT's knowledge is coming from human interactions. So the more your demands or your queries or your ask from ChatGPT sounds like a simple conversation, ChatGPT has an easier time processing that. Whereas when you use like words like syzygy, like epitome of like something, ChatGPT English is not its first language either. It's like zeros and ones. So for it, the simpler you speak, it has also a better time understanding you. It is trained on conversational English, but has access to masterpieces like Shakespeare and everything else. So it gets it, but it's a better idea to use simple language for ChatGPT too.
Thank you so much for your answer. This was very, very helpful. Thank you.
Welcome, Irina. I just wanted to add that it's a good idea to start chatting in Romanian with ChatGPT and see if it gives you cohesive answers. If you get cohesive answers and responses, that means that ChatGPT has a good enough pool of information in your language. As for in Farsi, you don't get cohesive answers enough, so it understands that it's not super good at writing it back. So just like a child, the child understands you more that it can speak at the first like 2 years, 3 years of its life. ChatGPT is the same. Try talking to it in Romanian and demand stuff back in English. That works.
Would that be for understanding better the topic or like the grammar? Because like often when I'm speaking in English, sometimes I use the constructs in my language, which is like, and probably that's why it has problems understanding. So I'm thinking like if it will be trained in my language, probably will make the connection from the
exactly. Exactly. So based on the language that you speak, if you speak in Romanian and demand stuff back in English, ChatGPT will use how is like has access to like wider range of information that is all on English, and then like has this at the back of its mind that you are speaking Romanian. So it's a better idea to do that. But again, circling back to like what ChatGPT understands and what it doesn't, ChatGPT is not understanding us. Again, it's a cat, it's a baby. It has kind of a comprehension, not that deep, not that like it's not that smart. I know we call it artificial intelligence, but it's not that intelligence. That's why we can be sure that it's not going to be replace us, and there's no AI Armageddon. But just try it out. Make sure that you experiment with it. If you experiment with that, that's like how you can also help ChatGPT to evolve too. You see, when you get answers from ChatGPT, you have this thumbs up and thumbs down when you get an answer. When you get a bad answer, actually get the thumbs down. And when you get a good answer that you're happy to, get the thumbs up. That helps ChatGPT to and get better, train just like a baby. When it tells you a bad word, it tells you a like word that is not correct, you correct it. So look like a baby, it looks like a baby, walk like a baby, talks like a baby. We call it ChatGPT, but it is a baby. So it's a baby. Exactly. So guys, any other questions? Okay, so I wanted to ask you guys, how was it? You want, you can unmute yourselves and tell me, what was it?
Well, I think this was
How
fabulous.
Yay.
I knew very little about ChatGPT. I've been using it, but you've taken me to a higher level in such a short period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you. I'm super happy.
Yeah, I found this to
Okay.
be very helpful. I tinkered with it a little bit earlier, but want to get back to it. I have some ideas, and you gave me a lot more fuel to the fire for that. So thank you.
Yay, thank you. So Irina says, I love the formula. I've been struggled with knowing how to formulate my ask to ChatGPT. So the formula is here for you. And again, ChatGPT is a baby. The formula is also a baby. It's gonna grow up, and we're gonna grow up with the baby. So guys, thank you for attending. I wanna give the mic to Rosha. And Rosha, thank you for giving me this opportunity to connect with these great people. It was super fun for me. You guys had great energy. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mo. It was great as always. And